in its many forms. Some of you may think that gay theology is just the kind of so-called Christianity that supports and advances the LGBT worldview and gay marriage and all that sort of thing. But in my opinion, it's far more than that, as you're about to see. And ultimately, this kind of doctrine is in direct competition with the Word of God, and therefore it must be destroyed.
Therefore, it must be destroyed. Jeez Louise. Okay. This guy is just completely crazy. Really hateful rhetoric coming here. So trigger warning on this one. And we have a special guest. So, but I am Brentley, and this is the PunkApostate. Let's go. So, hey, yeah, this is the PunkApostate. We have a special guest. We got Secular Rarity, man. How you doing?
What's up, brother? I'm glad to be back, man. I always have a great time here, and we need that punk energy for this one for sure. This guy is smarmy. Is that a fair term? It's like it's like word. It's the even worse kind of smug, I guess. But yeah, the stuff he says is just freaking stupid. So yeah, we need a good little punk rebuttal to that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, the like level of punk politeness, which is none. There's none. That's right. What we need to do.
That's right.
So there is this new bill. I want to say it's F9. What is it? 59. Shoot. HB 599.
In Florida.
In Florida, yeah. Where Ron DeSantis, the psycho, the hateful bigot psycho guy that likes to torture people and things like that. That's a whole other thing I'll get into at some point. But he is putting through another bill. So they started out first. They said the don't say gay bill, right? And it was you can't teach any kids or anything about the existence of gay people or trans people or anything like that from kindergarten to third grade. Okay. Well, and just like we knew, like you're just attacking a group of people. And we were saying, like, yeah, that's not being taught really, but you're just attacking a group of people. Well, they ended up expanding it. Now it goes all the way through high school. You can't mention that gay people exist even to 18-year-olds in fucking high school. So, and now they're doing it again. And he wants it to now be spread into what it looks to me like any kind of government job, like federal workers. Or I don't know, just government workers. I don't know exactly how far this reaches, but it's so yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty gross.
It's very it definitely reaches as far as let's see. Give me a second here. I can find the section we were just reading right before this. Yeah. It definitely extends as far as nonprofit organizations in the state of Florida. Or any employer who receives funding from the state. So, because it explicitly mentions that in section 10 here.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So it not only goes as far as state employees in the state of Florida, but it also goes as far as nonprofit organizations registered in the state of Florida or any employer of any kind who receives funding from the state of any kind. So yeah, that's it. It's basically, yeah. It's pretty encompassing. I would say
it's crazy that they can still, and I mean, just a couple of years ago, they were talking about the free state of Florida. Everybody wants to go down where it's free.
I mean, everybody knows that, what we're really looking for in this country is a small government, with limited authority to tell private organizations like a 501c3 or, employers how to behave, right? We all know that we want that. And clearly the Republicans are champions of that, as evidenced by this bill, really allowing those libertarian freedoms that we've heard so much about for years. It's wonderful how consistent and non-obviously hypocritical and hateful they are. You know, it's just great. It's so.
The small government people are like, yeah, but we're going to tell you if you're allowed to put on a dress.
Right.
And make that fucking law.
Like the number one place that I think pretty much everybody agrees we don't want our government, right? Yeah. We don't want our government in our closets. We don't want our government in our bedroom. Like, we don't want that. And yet here they are. We don't want our government restricting our children and making all these absurd laws telling us how to raise our kids. And yet here we are, folks.
Yet they do it.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are with that party, that group of individuals being like, you know what? Actually, let me see if what you're wearing today is appropriate for you. Let me see if you're doing the sideways tango correctly in our eyes. What are you teaching your children? That is our job, you know.
Right? Like you're saying that we have the government in the closet. I think that the right-wing government should come out of the closet, honestly, because they're clearly in there.
Yeah. Well, we have done, and I'm not saying that this necessarily applies to Ron DeSantis or anybody in particular. Okay. I wouldn't make an accusation without, you know, any knowledge, but all I will say is that we do have some pretty good peer-reviewed data to show that some of the most vocally homophobic individuals, anti-trans individuals, are actually more likely to be homosexual or transgender themselves. So it's weird. It's something again, I'm not saying that this specifically applies to Ron DeSantis. I am just mentioning this study and pointing out all of his actions recently.
I mean, but have you seen his boots? I feel like the boots are enough evidence that you need, you know, they were high heels, you know, and the way he crossed them like that, he just had his legs crossed. But
he's basically a woman, I mean, at this point, right?
That's exactly what I was saying.
It's just
the white ones too, the white boots that he had, the high water boots, man. Just the dude's not good with boots, man. They just fucking keep creaming.
Yeah. It would be terrible if we had like any major public figures who were just really seen as like super masculine throughout history, recent times, or anything where it's like they wore all kinds of different clothing and stuff. It would be a shame if we had that readily available to us. Because then it would make all of this nonsense that they're saying sound even more hateful and stupid.
Right.
Good thing we don't have that, you guys. Good thing we don't have
none whatsoever.
Things that,
Jesus,
stupid people, dumb stuff. But this guy somehow is gonna keep that rolling. I can't believe it. But.
Yeah. So this, and I know this isn't exactly in our wheelhouse. This is all within the, an argument within Christianity, right? So it's this Christian bigot being mad at other Christians that are not bigots.
That's the best part. That's the best part. He's like, hey, all you Jesus lovers out there. You know, all you love thy neighbor and hang with the lepers and the outcast people. All you people, you're not hating enough. You really need to. You missed that part of Jesus's message, the hate part of it. You know, you really. It's great. It's really great.
That is exactly what this is, and it must be destroyed. Apparently, Jesus. Yep. They use the most like violent rhetoric. It's obnoxious. So I'm going to back it up. We'll just let him go for a bit here, and then we'll respond as we go.
Hey guys, Colin here, and welcome back to Fight for Truth. In this video, we're going to talk about gay theology in its many forms. Some of you may think that gay theology is just the kind of so-called Christianity that supports and advances the LGBT worldview and gay marriage and all that sort of thing. But in my opinion, it's far more than that, as you're about to see. And ultimately, this kind of doctrine is in direct competition with the Word of God, and therefore it must be destroyed. As it says in 2 Corinthians 10:5, quote, we destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God. You see, how we...
Jeez. So...
Well, I mean, two things. One, one reason I like individuals like this is because I feel like when I say that Christianity has as part of its teachings a bunch of like hate-filled, destructive ideologies, right? I think
Yeah.
sometimes that falls on deaf ears because it's like, oh, you an atheist, man. Of course you don't like the Christian. And it's like, no. I like the Christian because they're not following the hateful, disgusting, genocidal type language that's in the Bible, that's in Christianity. Christianity has these horrible things in it. And then people are like, nah, it doesn't. And then there's like this cat that comes along and he's like, oh, hey, just reminding you guys, Jesus commands us to like destroy everybody that's not on our side. And it's like, oh, cool, thank you. Like I'm not saying that, he's saying that.
Right.
I just want you to listen to him, Christians,
Straight out the horse's mouth. Like, yeah.
Like that's nice, it's really, that's that moment where it's like, oh, thank you for telling me this. I hate what you're saying and I disagree with it. But thank you for saying this, because now I don't have to be the one that's like, oh, look at this terrible. It's like, no, it's yours. But the other thing that comes to mind, and he's going to say this phrase a lot, and maybe it's too early for me to bring this up and put this in people's minds, but it's too late.
Poison the well.
Sorry.
Poison.
Every time he says gay theology, I just think of the phrase that comes to mind, honestly, is suck a dick for Jesus. And I just genuinely love that thought. Like that there's a pastor out there who's like standing up.
Everybody turn to your neighbor.
It's like, sis, my cishet Christian brothers, grab a dick and just pop it in your mouth for Jesus, please.
Like a lollipop.
Everybody, just start getting real gay with everybody. Just where are my believing sisters at? Go find you another beautiful woman and just mac on her. Get to heaven. The Lord is in you. You can feel the Holy Spirit in you.
That's what Jesus would want. He was out washing feet. I mean, I'm just saying. That's okay. That's kind of kinky.
I'm just
all right.
saying. Jesus getting all up in them feet of the apostles.
Quentin Tarantino would have loved Jesus. Okay.
Right. And again, like I really do, just because the term, I understand what he's trying to do, which is he is using the terminology gay theology as saying individuals who are within the Christian sphere and are teaching aspects of Christianity, but specifically with an affirming or allyship with the LGBTQ communities, right? And like, I get that's what he's saying when he says it like that, but I think that's kind of a dumb framing. I also think the terminology is just bad. And again, it just makes me think of suck a dick for Jesus, which I'm not opposed to. Like, I'm not opposed to this. Like, if you want to do it, like everybody praises the divine in their own way. And if for you that is loving your brothers and sisters, I say do it. Do it.
I mean, I base all of my morality off of like avoiding pain and seeking pleasure.
Right.
I think if we can help everybody have pleasure, that's in the positive end of the spectrum as far as morale objective. That's objectively moral. Okay?
I agree. And I think if more religions taught, instead of like conquering your enemies, but like giving oral sex to your enemies, I think we would have a much better world. That's just my opinion. That
is blessing people, right? You're blessing them by sucking the just saying. All right,
we've already completely gone off the rails. Like we're not even like 20 minutes into the stream. It's just already, but it's good. It's good.
That's all right. That's what this show's all about. Okay. getting off the rails.
respond to the gay agenda is a major point of contention among modern Christians. So let's look at some examples and add some clarity to the issue. First, we have Derek Webb. He was the lead singer of popular Christian band Caedmon's Call. Now he is advancing gay theology in his music at every opportunity. One of his recent songs is literally entitled, quote, "Boys Will Be Girls," a song that celebrates transgenderism and even features Derek as a drag queen himself. The song itself repeats the title sentiment over and over, that sometimes boys will be girls. And in the end, it says, quote, "I heard Jesus loved and spent his life with those who were abandoned by proud and fearful men." So if a church won't celebrate and love you, they're believing lies that can't save you or them, because you're so beautiful by any name. Obviously, any discerning...
Real quick. So a couple of cool things. One, Derek Webb goes on tour with Flamey Grant. He even mentions this. They are both insanely cool people.
Hell yeah.
I only recently got, in the know about Flamey and Derek, literally just like 6 months ago, maybe, because Flamey Grant's music has just been skyrocketing on the Christian charts, and I just love it. She was
number one.
Yep.
For I don't think it was very long, but she did get to the top, like literally the top of the charts.
And I had a big deal.
I covered a video of I can't remember which one it was. I think it was that Isaiah Demon guy. He was freaking out that that Flamey Grant was at the top of the Christian charts. He's like, "We need to call the Billboard and tell them that's not Christian. We decide what Christian is."
Cool flex, bro. Yeah, like whatever makes you sleep better at night. But
Right.
yeah, I adore that. I think that's great. They both have some great stuff. I mean, I disagree with the Christian stuff. Like, I think there is a lot of hatred in Christianity, and I think the individuals who, like, unfortunately, I think the people like the Westboro Baptist Church are probably the closest to what the actual text says, and that's one big reason why I fight that ideology, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I think it's absolutely the right call. It is absolutely steps in the right direction when more and more religious people disagree with those passages in their scriptures and instead take a more secular and humanist approach to it. Because that's when you come to these better conclusions.
Exactly. And it's weird how this works with certain things, but doesn't work with others, right?
Yeah.
So like slavery was in the Bible, and everybody kind of just, well, most Christians, I wouldn't say, acknowledge that was bad. Slavery is bad. We don't follow that part of the Bible. That was really the Old Testament. It's not just in the Old Testament, but that's just the Old Testament. And, Jesus died for that. But the thing is, like, it was a practice until 150 years ago or so. Mm-hmm. We as a species decided collectively that this is evil and harmful. What religion says, be damned,
Mm-hmm.
So if this is going to happen because the book was written fucking a million years ago, like by bigot people, like a lot of them.
And YouTube may not have existed, back in the 1800s, you guys. But you know what did exist back then? A bunch of anti-abolitionist religious folk running around talking about how this abolitionist of slavery, theology needs to be destroyed, needs this terrible, progressive concept of like letting people not be enslaved. Like, whoa, it's destroying God's word. So
that's my God-given right to own other humans as property.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. So it's like you would think the Christian apologists like this would like catch on to that and be like, turn around at some point and be like, "Hey guys, have you ever noticed we tend to be on the wrong side of things at first, and then like after 50 years when everybody forgets, we claim it's ours? Like we always did that. Have you ever noticed? Isn't that bad? Isn't that bad? Doesn't that make us the baddies?"
They always show up like way after, and like that was us. That was us. We did that.
We did that.
Jesus.
What's
Boom.
that? What's that? Heliocentrism? That's us.
That was us.
We did
decided.
that. We did that.
Like it
We
says,
got that.
the circle of the earth, and then
Yeah.
one verse.
Come on. Come on. It's obvious. It's obvious that God made the sun the center of our solar system, you guys. That's clear in Genesis.
That he made just for us. You know.
What's that? The universe is 14.8 billion years old? Yeah, the Bible says that. Of course it does. 7 days, 2 points, something billion per. Like, we're good. There
7 is the number of completion. What is complete? A million. A million is complete. So 7 million.
Makes perfect sense. Don't you see? Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Retconning everything.
Everything. Constantly. God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Just to hide the bigotry, even though it's like, well, there it is in your passage. Again, I'm not saying it. He sure is. It's not me. He's bringing it up.
And they're still fighting for bigot shit, like constantly. They're like, hey, come on, quit with all the Black Lives Matter and stuff. Okay? They don't. I mean, everybody matters more. Like, yeah, exactly. All
of the major like Christian denominations right now are splitting. It's amazing. Like the Anglicans, the Methodists, the Baptists, like it's just phenomenal. And like, what is at the core of so much of this? You've got one side that's like, hey, maybe the parts of Jesus's message about the not being shitty to people because they're different, maybe that's what we focus on. And the other side's like, nope, fuck everybody that's not cis, het, and white. Fuck them, and it's like, man, that's a weird side to be taken there, buddy.
Like, how do you do these two things? I don't get it. At the same time, they're like, love your neighbor, but just decide that if people are gay or trans, they're not your neighbors. Those are. I don't live next to those people.
That's right.
Like,
that's right. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's just like, oh my gosh, hey, it's so great to meet you. You seem like a great person. What's that? Homosexual, you say? Sorry, guess we're not friends.
I gotta go. I gotta clean out my refrigerator. I gotta go. Okay, I don't know. Like, that's
weird Jesus to be following, buddy. Weird Jesus to be following.
I swear the right-wing Jesus or the right-wing Christianity is like literally the opposite. Like Jesus vilified the rich. Didn't like that people were selling shit in the church, like flipped the tables for that. And he also said that, you got to like care about the poor and all that stuff. It's completely fucking flipped.
Yeah. You just don't understand the context. See, that's your problem.
The context is always a problem. It just always is somehow. Jesus. All right, here we go.
Christian can see through this charade. He's alluding to the fact that Jesus spent significant time with people who were on the fringes of society, who had bad public images in many ways. And this is certainly true as far as it goes. The scripture says that Jesus ate with tax collectors and sinners. It was a point of contention between him and the Pharisees. And therefore, the implication from Derek Webb and other progressives like him is that Jesus would have also teamed up with drag queens. The problem is that Derek doesn't seem to understand the difference between repentant and unrepentant sinners.
Real quick, I do really want now a video of like, or like an episode of a TV show or something, just something quick, just like where it's like the Super Friends, or just like a team of superhero type thing. Like it's that kind of genre, but it's just like Jesus and a bunch of drag queens. Like, I just think that would be awesome. Really like Jesus just like busts into a room and he's like, ladies, we've got a mission. And just like, and a bunch of drag queens like stand up and just like, let's grab our wigs. I just think that would be amazing. I just like, if somebody out there with much better editing skills than if you could just create that, like, I don't want any credit. Just
dude, they should do it with when our wigs combined. Like I am Jesus, whatever, like the Captain Planet.
So great. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like that genre where Jesus is like the main person and then it's just Jesus and a bunch of drag queens. I think that would be great. I think I would love to see Jesus team up with a bunch of drag queens. That would just be wonderful.
Honestly, I
love
think we
that
could
idea.
make this an Adult Swim thing. Actually,
Oh my!
work. I
It
bet
would
we
be
can make this
it's
happen.
serious. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It would be very funny, and like I don't know, they go around solving crimes and mysteries or whatever. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't even care. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. I just think it would be very funny.
Be
So,
wonderful. Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe the 12, like 12 disciples. But they're all trying.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
Exactly
Like,
right.
I love it.
Exactly right.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You
Also,
did hang
let's
out with a
just
lot of dudes.
yeah. I mean, no, that's the obvious thing. It's like, man, Jesus, you like a 30-year-old, man living back then in that area of the world, and the only people you hanging out with is a bunch of dudes in secret.
Hey, yeah.
It's definitely definitely out of the norm for sure. Also, and I just because I think this is really funny, it's a very dumb point, I agree, but it's worth pointing out, which is he's talking about how he's explicitly mentioned how a dude wearing a dress is a bad thing. Just want to point out what Jesus was known for wearing.
Yeah,
sandals and a robe. So
with a shawl, right? Doesn't he have,
I don't.
Like,
yeah, I think the difference between a robe and a dress is really mostly semantic more than like style wise or functionality. So I don't know, man. Weird thing.
Maybe a little bit fancier if it's a dress. That's it.
Yeah, just a little bit better form fitting. Like it would just make you look, you could just see that cut Jesus.
All you'd have to do is put a belt on, and you'd have, there you are.
Right? It's the same. It's the same thing.
Exactly the same. Maybe a big belt too, with a big, huge golden buckle.
Yeah,
it's fancy. Here we go.
Jesus began his earthly ministry, after all, by saying, quote, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." By contrast, he did not say, "Come hang out with me, you glorious sinners, you, because I really want to show the world how much I approve of all of your actions, no matter what they are." You see, Derek Webb...
Hold on. First of all, this guy talks like I don't even like an 80-year-old woman, it seems. That's what he just reminded, like there was some kind of body swap thing. There's a jewel involved. He is actually a 80-year-old woman in his body somehow. And there's some 80-year-old lady walking around with a kid's brain.
Hey, hip teen youth. What are we getting up to tonight? Smoking the drugs and whatnot? Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you?
My fellow other young people or whatever.
Exactly.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
It's just
doesn't
weird.
understand.
Yeah, he is. It's just so everything about this kid is so cringe. I don't,
He's popular. He's almost like 300K, I think, is how many subscribers on YouTube. So like, it's not like we're punching down here, people. People agree with this apparently.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people. I mean, it is a testament though too, because like in their little circle, it's almost a moral failing if you don't subscribe to every single Christian channel.
That's fair. That's fair. We all remember that commandment. And thou shalt like and subscribe, ring the bell, so that one can always be notified of Jesus is next.
Smash thine like button.
Smash thine like button.
Jeez, that's funny.
LGBT worldview, which he most certainly did not. But more recently, Derek attended the Christian Grammys, otherwise known as the Dove Awards, and he wore an actual dress. Here's a video of
an actual one, not like
a real one. Yeah,
not like halfsies or anything. But
it wasn't a snuggie. It was a
wasn't
full-on dress. Not a robe. Definitely not a robe. A dress. Massive difference between the two. Huge thing. Not even a big overcoat. This wasn't like like that. No, this was a real dress.
Yeah, because I mean, furry overcoats like that. I mean, Kid Rock does it, so it's got to be masculine.
Yeah, of course. Kid Rock's the obvious epitome of what a real man is. I mean, come on, is that not? Are we not on the same page there, Brent? I thought.
Yeah, I mean that's
I think of real men. I think of two people. I think of Kid Rock and Dog the Bounty Hunter. You tell me why I'm wrong.
Oh my god. No. No. I don't. That cannot be. No.
God. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that actually think that.
Oh,
So,
I know. They'd also put Joe Rogan up there too. So, it's
yeah,
like
his melted ice cream looking ass. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? He looked like, that the character in Batman, Clayface. He should be played by Joe Rogan. Like, he looks like Clayface.
no
Dude.
makeup necessary. No, we
Exactly.
don't need the art department.
He can just show. Yeah, he can show up and fucking start recording. Oh my god.
Jesus.
All right, you're gonna let him go.
Him explaining why.
Why did I wear a dress
Hmm.
to the Devil Wards? As a cis, straight, white man, I walk into a room like that, and any room with an incredible amount of advantage and privilege. If I'm attending as an ally of friends and colleagues, I should do everything possible to surrender that privilege at the door. If the way you look at my loved ones isn't the way you look at me, I'm not truly standing with them. It's like Stan Mitchell says, if you claim to be someone's ally but aren't getting hit by the stones thrown at them, you aren't standing close enough.
I have to say, I really like that. saying.
Yeah.
That's
it's
cool.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely wonderful what Derek just said. And now here's what I want everybody to do, okay? Think about what he just said. Take a breath. And then remember that this guy is about to be against that. Remember that he heard that message and somehow took away, nope, that's destroying society. Like that's the stance he has. And that's amazing. That's amazing to me. It's like somebody standing up and just being like, hey, I really think that we shouldn't just kick puppies for fun. I think it's a bad thing to do. And wherever people are that are just gleefully abusing small dogs, we should be against those people. Imagine hearing somebody say that and then going, yeah, I don't think Jesus would be for that, man.
That rhetoric needs to be destroyed.
Yeah,
Now,
that's a problem. You're infecting the youth with your ideology. Like, imagine thinking that, because again, the creator of this video, Fight for Truth, that guy does think that. So that's where we are.
He's like, let me read you a Bible verse about where God says to sacrifice puppies. Now look at
right. It's glory to God. It's glory to God.
Yeah. All the puppy kicks go straight to every angel gets his wings. Like, they can't get their wings unless you kick a puppy. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
Plus, I have amazing legs.
So he dressed up in women's clothing in a dress.
He does.
That is true.
That was, I agree.
Because he's a straight white man and he wanted to check his privilege in front of everybody. And this shows the contempt that progressives actually have for women and for traditional femininity.
There it is. Contempt. That's it. Contempt. You see, Brent, you're not understanding. See, by standing up and saying human beings have a right to self-determination, self-empowerment, right? Individuals are allowed to be who they are and express that. Insofar as, of course, your right to swing your fist ends at my face, right? Like, obviously, if you're going around hurting people like that actively, that's a different story, right? But barring that, you as a person get to live your fucking life. That's bad. See, that's a problem there. See, because what you're not understanding is that fundamentally goes against traditional women's values. That goes against traditional femininity, Brent. See, because that's not what real women want. Real women don't want you to respect them as an individual and allow them to live their lives based on their own autonomy and self-determination. That's not what they want. Classical femininity. See, I know what that's about. Yeah, that comes from Jesus.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if anybody like wears anything feminine at all, that means you hate women.
Clearly,
That's what
because
that
you're
means.
because you're just trying to I don't know what, co-opt being a woman. I don't know what this guy thinks.
I don't know. I feel like he's about to explain it. And if I remember correctly, it's quite funny. So here we go.
It's nothing but a costume to them. We live in an
There we go.
age where literally
Costume.
dressing up in a Halloween costume in the clothing of another culture is
Mhm.
considered racist. But men
Okay.
dressing up like women and pretending to be women is considered bold and courageous.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a lot there. I feel like this is one of those moments where somebody presents kind of two sides and they do a really bad job with both. So
yeah.
this dressing up in a costume of another culture, right? Being racist. Okay. So like, not necessarily, right?
No.
Not necessarily. It depends on kind of how you're doing it and what the costume is, right?
Yeah.
Like, just as an example, if you dressed up in a Native American costume, for instance, and what you had was a empty glass bottle that said "fire water, yum yum," like, maybe that's a little fucked up and racist, bro. Like, okay, is that crazy? I mean, is that hard to understand where the difference is? Like, if, however, you put on, say, traditional garb of various Middle Eastern cultures, and say like, hey, this is something I've been studying, even, like I have a connection to this because of whatever, like there's a difference between like honoring and respecting cultures that are different and their customs and like mocking them, right? Is that crazy? Again, I thought that was a very simple thing to distinguish.
And it's weird because it's like almost like he doesn't understand. He just knows that blackface is bad, right? And he doesn't know why. He's never thought of it that far. He's just like, hey, the left doesn't even like, and it's like, because there's sort of a historical thing there where people do minstrel shows and they dress up in blackface and made fun of black people as like a really shitty form of entertainment. But that he's not, and that's not the same thing as fucking gender. Like, what is happening? Do I really need to describe
massively? Like, how come this happens so often? People are like, well, if it's just a horrible framing again, just from the get-go, it's a horrible framing. But I've heard it so many times, and they're like, well, how come like, men can be women, but like a white guy can't be a black guy? And it's like, what? You genuinely not understand? Are you really having trouble with that? Like, is that tough for you, man? Like, I mean, there are transgender people now, so why can't you be transracial? And it's like, man, there's so much to unpack here.
That's just,
and I don't know where to start.
Right? It's like having to explain object permanence to somebody.
Oh my God. It's like, close your eyes. Okay, now everything's gone. No, the world still exists. No, everything's still, it's like, okay, but spin around. Now close your eyes. Everything's gone. Nope, all still fucking there, it's man.
Here's why it's still there. It's like, let me break this down. Jesus. Yeah, it's frustrating how they want to make things like it's similar, and it's because he's trying so hard to not understand how sex is on a spectrum, gender is on a spectrum, and all these different things. It's completely different.
And instead of just trying to learn, instead of just trying to expand your knowledge, him and individuals like him that perpetuate this narrative just want to fearmonger. That's literally what it is, because this whole video is basically, at the end of the day, him just saying, they're coming for you.
Yep.
Get them first. Don't let them take over. Don't let them do this terrible stuff. You get them first. That's really what he's doing. And like, again, that's that's terrible. That's horrible, because that absolutely leads to the exact things that we consistently see, which is LGBTQ members just being beaten to death in the streets. Like that's what happens. That's the rhetoric that leads to people sitting around going, yeah, maybe we should go out in mobs and hunt people down. Like that's what that becomes. And so I mean, talk about anti-woman, talk about anti-femininity. Who gets hurt the most when we perpetuate this rhetoric? Women.
Yeah.
Because next thing you know, there's some jackass standing at every public bathroom, stopping every single person that comes through that doesn't meet his nonsensical criteria of what a woman is.
Yeah.
And all he ends up doing is just harassing women all day. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, because most of us don't fit neatly in the gender binary. Yep. You know, none of, like, I'd argue to say, like, hardly any, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that, like, if you're just walking down the street and you see like random people, like, there are so many people that are, you know, they're like are born cis women but look more masculine, and you know, vice versa, men that
absolutely
look more feminine. You know, I mean, just young like teenage boys and stuff. That's like, you know, they look very similar to, you know, trans or whatever, you know, like, it just looks, you can't tell. That's why we shouldn't fucking sit there and try to police the gender lines, because it's idiotic. It's never consistent, ever.
Yeah.
You know?
And it never has been. Like, I hate the people that talk about, oh, it just popped up out of nowhere. It's like, my God, you don't know shit. Like, you've never even cracked a history book, have you? Like, individuals right? Breaking this binary has been a regular occurrence throughout history, and still to this day we discover more and more things. We discover all kinds of incredible people throughout history that crisscrossed these lines and mixed up these boundaries. And funny enough, a lot of times people were cool with it. Like, historically there are these swings every so often, like we're in now, where everybody's just like, I don't really like men in dresses. That seems weird to me. And it's like, okay, why? And it's like, I don't know, but we just shouldn't let them do it. And it's like, well, that's fucking dumb.
That's I don't know. It makes me feel funny on the inside.
That's right. That's right.
Makes me feel insecure.
I'm worried my kid might put a dress on. It's like, do you have kids? No,
I'm not doing that.
Well, what the fuck are you worried about? I'm fucking
worried about somebody else's kid that. Shit.
Yeah. A hypothetical child in the future that's being abused. It's like, well, yeah, abuse of children is bad. Like,
always,
what does that have to do with this musician putting on a dress at an awards show?
Right.
Like, just completely separate.
And it doesn't even, and he's like, it's like he doesn't even understand too that, like, I think it's 1.7% of the population is intersex.
Yeah.
Which means like, even genetically, you know, as far, like, not genetically, but like what their body is, like, not even talking about gender, just completely. And as far as sex is understood, it is a spectrum. And there's a lot of intersex. There's a lot of people with vaginas that are also XY chromosomes, and so on and so, like, stuff like that, you know. It happens a lot.
there are like 6 major chromosomal, like, variations, right? Like, the concept of XX and XY is what we teach the little 5-year-olds, because you don't sit down with a 5-year-old and go through 150 some odd years of biological nuance. You don't do that. You just go, here's the colors. You got red and orange and green. And then later on in life, you go, so there's all kinds of colors. You know, it's even more complicated than that. You know, where the fuck are the people out there running around going, oh, I was always taught Roy G. Biv. I was always taught Roji Biv. Where are all these colors coming from lately?
Right.
Where are all these new colors? Yellow, green,
This is disgusting.
magenta? Like, what is this? This is crazy. This is nonsense. Woke ideology.
Yeah, that's right. God hates it when you mix colors. This is
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. God, the genocidal maniac who ended it all with a rainbow, hates colors. Think about that one, folks.
It's like, and to memorialize my genocide, I will make a rainbow.
Look how pretty
right.
it is.
All the dead bodies floating, like, oh hey, huh. That's kind of pretty. That's
Right.
kind of nice.
Right. Oh, it's all worth it in the end, God. Thanks.
I don't feel so bad about being genocided. I can die in peace.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh,
somehow. But just in case there's any confusion, let me make it clear. Men wearing dresses is very gay, and it shouldn't be done.
Awesome.
22.
I need that clip. I would
Yes,
like-
yes. I love that. It is super gay. It is so gay. Like,
Oh my
like
God.
man, I love that. It genuinely makes me happy just him saying that. I just think it's funny. And the reason it's so funny is because it's like the only way that phrase really even makes sense is if you just have this already implicit understanding that being gay is like really problematic and bad and like evil or something, right? Because
Right.
if you don't think that, being told that just doesn't land. It just doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't really know how putting on a dress has anything to do with who I'm attracted to. Also, if I was attracted
true.
to men, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, it'd just be who I am. Like I like women, but I don't get what you're arguing here. What are you trying to tell me? What are you expressing? You just want me to take the dress off is what you're saying.
Just no
You
dress.
just want me to take the dress off. Okay. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah.
I don't understand how he gets. I mean, that's like something I probably would have said back in, when I was like in middle school.
Yeah,
or whatever,
for sure. Like
know?
when I was 13, absolutely. But everything was gay because that was
Yeah.
just the stupid way that we talked back then, where it was just like, oh man, this ketchup bottle won't open. That's gay. And it's
gay, but it
like,
won't open.
yeah, and it was because we had all internalized that was just bad. And then hopefully, right, like what happened for you and I, eventually we grew up and matured a little bit. Not saying fully. I mean, we're totally immature, no problem there. But at least got to the point where we were like, wait a second, why is this an insult? What's wrong with it? Like, imagine, just flip it. Like, hey, Brent, you know what, man? Wearing a hat is totally straight.
Yeah.
And it just instantly you're just like, oh,
yeah, this kind of falls
okay.
apart.
Yeah, it doesn't make
hats
doesn't
don't
make
really have anything
sense.
to do.
Right. Like, hey, did you know drinking from a water bottle is totally bisexual? And then you're like, oh, okay, it just sounds wrong that what you're saying.
Even more so with a straw. That's
Are you trying to be
disgusting.
offensive? Are you trying to be offensive right now? I don't understand what point you're making. Again, it just doesn't land. It doesn't land when you don't have that implicit bigotry already built into it,
Right.
It's just stupid. I will say though, with these type of individuals, like the real, like, super uncomfortable with like who they are sexually and whatnot, and they want to be the big alpha males and they want to be like super duper cis het whatever. I do love pointing out the things that they do when I can be like, hey man, I know a lot of gay guys that do that. Like, for instance, I had friends in the past who were very much in that that mindset, and they would like eat lunch together regularly. They would take their lunch at the same time on work, and they would like go to the break room together and eat lunch like consistently.
They
And
go
like
to the bathroom together.
there
and
were
then-
times where one of them would literally like walk up to the other one and he'd be like, "Hey man, when's your break today?" "Oh, at 12:30. Mine's at 1. Let me see if I can get it changed to 12:30 so we can eat together." And one day I heard them and I was just like, "Man, that's really cute. How long have you guys been dating?" They were very upset,
like,
but it
how
was so
dare you?
fucking funny. It was so fucking funny. Like it's just, and it's so limiting. It's so limiting to men because it takes every aspect of being a person. Like imagine thinking that like being sad ever, crying, getting support from a male friend, that is just so abhorrent and bad. You just can't do that, because maybe you're gay. It's like it's so bad on so many levels. It's like, wow, A, I'm not allowed to be a whole person, and then B, on top of it, if I try to be, you're just gonna try and insult me with something that just isn't an insult. It's just so confusing and backwards and wrong. And I know this guy's probably not gonna watch this video, but I hope somehow it just, I don't know, it gets to him.
It falls on his lap somehow.
Right. And
because I'm going to be honest, this kid does not look like a lumberjack. Okay, he's not.
No. He's
almost
got a
makes you
real
wonder.
smooth face like a woman. He's got he doesn't really have a sharp jawline. He looks kind of like he works out, but not not really. He doesn't seem. He seems very. I'm just saying he moisturizes. He looks like he moisturizes.
Definitely moisturizes.
That's a little gay. It's a little gay, bro.
Definitely gets his hair cut more than once a week.
Oh, wow.
That's
wow. Do you think he manicures his nails too?
Absolutely.
I hope he doesn't. That's too far. That's too far.
I actually need to do mine. They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oof, that's terrible. But that's funny. I remember like when I was a kid, we were doing the punk thing, but it was the Christian punk thing.
Right.
And I heard like one of the things that I thought was cool is like there's this one album cover, "And Out Come the Wolves," and it's a Rancid album that shows the guy like sitting on the curb and he's all tattooed up and he's got his fingernails like black, like he has black fingernails.
Right.
And so I took like a marker, and like you did when you're a kid. And man, my dad got so that was the maddest, I think. Like I lit the carpet on fire one time and it was like half. That was nothing compared to me painting my fucking nails.
Well, at least when you light the carpet on fire, that's a manly, non-gay thing to do. As we all know,
my boy.
Women and the homosexuals, they pyromania is not a thing for them. We have no evidence of that. So
just because we call them like flamey, that has nothing to do with them actually setting fire to things. It's a totally different usage.
It's a misnomer.
It's a misnomer. Thank you.
Oh my god.
So good.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, what was that? What was the guy? Oh my god. What? Oh geez. I forget the person's name, but it was one of the horrible mass shootings that have happened in the United States in such a recent time that none of us can remember all of them. Can't believe we still live in that world, but here it is.
Jesus.
Yeah. But where the guy like went and shot up, like I don't remember if it was a gay club or if it was because it wasn't the Pulse shooting, but where the guy's father basically was like, well, at least my son's not gay.
Oh,
right. Yeah, okay, he's a mass murderer, but at least he's not actually. When I first heard the story, I was like, man, was he at that gay bar? Because and it was just like, holy shit. I mean, brain rot is right. It just eats away at you from the inside until you are just a heaping pile of shit.
Just a hollow shell. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that being more upset at the thought that your son might be attracted to guys rather than the fact that your son is just indiscriminately murdered people.
That's
crazy.
It's just like, wow, that is just, I remember that was like one of the two times that the right has been able to be like, all the crazy right wingers were like, see, look, because he was non-binary or they were non-binary or they said they were, but
Yeah.
Other people said that they were. I didn't see any evidence.
Well, yeah,
But-
yeah. That always. It's always that stuff. It's weird too because like you hear this argument from a lot of the far right people where they're like, well, what if some crazy person just all of a sudden just says that they're trans or non-binary just so that they can go like do a bunch of bad things to women and children. And it's like, man, that's super weird because I feel like the only evidence we have of that is on your team.
Right.
I feel like your people are the ones that go like send bombs to people and then just claim like, no, I'm actually trans. And it's like, what? Out of nowhere? Just all of a sudden? I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying it's a little bit of a U-turn.
Right. And it also stays like it's like within this kind of logical understanding of like, so the reason that you like, so the fact that people could do that means that this is a crime or whatever. Yeah, that never seems to make its way over to fucking guns. You could do all sorts of shit with guns.
Weird.
But you know, nobody do sort. You could do all sorts of crimes.
You're not suggesting that the individuals who make these arguments aren't actually, say, genuine with them, but instead just want to try to use whatever they think is a winning argument to enhance their like power politically. Or
I wasn't just going to come out and say it, but
okay.
You know.
Well, since you laid it out,
jeez, all right. I guess we're just saying stuff.
Subtext SR, jeez.
Jesus. Oh yeah, they're frustrating.
Oh yeah, this video only gets better, by the way.
I know. Okay, you're gonna let it go for a minute here.
5 says that it's an abomination for a man to dress up like a woman, and
let me go back.
men wearing dresses is very gay, and it shouldn't be done. Deuteronomy 22:5 says that it's an abomination for a man to dress up like a woman, and vice versa, as it clearly is a violation of God's created order. By the way, the two people in
God's created order. Okay.
And again, I just want to take the opportunity to point out this isn't me. This isn't Brentley. We're not saying it. He's saying it. A believing, devout Christian follower of Christ, quoting the Bible. Just that the word of God, folks. Just in case you're out there thinking, no, my God loves me. My God loves me and doesn't care that I'm bisexual. Doesn't care that I'm queer. He disagrees with you. Join the atheists in hell already. We could use you on our team. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this nonsensical viewpoint and ideology that's just harming people. It's just spreading hatred.
I mean, and he's also, it's like, he's like, it says clearly in the Bible. It also says to murder your child if they talk back or get drunk.
It does. It does. It also tells you how to beat your slaves. So, weird we're not talking. Weird we just leave that stuff out again. This is the important stuff. This is what Jesus really wants. Again, the love thy neighbor stuff, the bring everybody to God, God's forgiving. Disregard that stuff. What Jesus really wanted to make sure you understood was to hate gay people. That's the message.
That's it.
That's the message.
And because he talked about it so often,
regularly,
Jesus, all the whole time. Yeah, you
can see all the thousands of passages we're about to bring up right now. Just flash them on screen real quick for us. Here we got them.
Right. That's
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, sorry.
We didn't have that ready.
No,
we didn't have that.
We didn't have them.
Oh shoot! I guess we were wrong. I guess he doesn't talk about it that much. Yeah.
I guess maybe not. Oh.
In the picture that Derek showed from the Double Wars, one is a lesbian so-called Christian worship artist named Semler, and the other
so-called Christian.
Yeah.
God, this guy's
because again, as we know, one of the core tenets of Christianity, Jesus Christ, Son of God, the way to get to heaven. Don't be gay.
No, it's right up there.
There's other stuff too. But those are the big ones. So if you violate one of those, no Christian for you.
That's right. It was a sermon called Sermon on the Route. It was around the corner and they missed, it was later. It was
It's when
later.
he was walking away afterwards. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, by the way, don't
The
be
route.
God dang it, did they all leave already? Shoot, I was gonna tell him not to do the gay stuff anymore."
Kevin, can you write this down? Kevin. Damn it, never mind. I guess he's gone.
He's illiterate anyway. Fuck.
That's right. I'm sorry, Kevin. He didn't mean that. Okay. Stoned Kevin is fucked up right now, dude. He is just
A drag queen who goes by the name Flamey Grant. Both of these artists have been prominently featured on the iTunes Christian music charts, and Semler has made it clear that she is in favor of taking the lives of innocent children in the womb.
What?
Reacting to the
fucking-
recent...
Oh wow. Whoa. Woo. Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
because when he starts out there, right? When he starts out that sentence, it sounds really terrible,
Yeah.
right? It sounds like this person is going around murdering children, right?
Yeah.
And then he mentions in the womb. And then you're like, oh, wait a second. This isn't it. Oh my gosh. This isn't a person that's murdering children indiscriminately. This is a person who agrees with all major medical establishments out there in terms of viability of a fetus, the autonomy of an individual, best medical practices for keeping the pregnant individual safe. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. It sounds a bit more reasonable now that you gave the full context.
Right. Like if I were to say what he just said, I'd be like, and this woman, is okay with not giving birth sometimes. That's it. That's about it. Because that's what it actually is. Like they make it like, oh no, it's fucking murder. No, it's just not giving birth. That's it. That's
right.
it.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Jesus. It's crazy how much that works though. Like,
Right. It's just again, it's blatant fear mongering. That's the way you bill stuff. That's how you represent stuff when you are purposefully not interested in being honest, right?
right.
You don't want people to understand the full situation. You just say they're grinding baby skulls in people's uterus, and you're like, yeah, sure, disregard the medical fact that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And like, what are you doing? Just sticking a hand blender up somebody's vag? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I know, it's fucking insane. And
It's a vacuum.
yet people perpetuate that. People say that. They're like, no, they blend baby skulls in people's bodies. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? What the psychotic bullshit? And again, this guy murdering babies. That's what she's for in the womb. Murdering babies in the womb. And it's like, oh, so you mean it like 40 weeks this individual is for just killing the thing? And it's like, no, more like before the point of viability outside the uterus. And it's like, oh, so she's for, again, best medical practices. That sounds like what you're saying.
Well, and it's almost like if I said, okay, this kid is okay with pushing children in front of bullets.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
And I say, this kid's okay with pushing children in front of bullets because I don't think that somebody is an adult until they're 25, and he's okay with sending 17-year-olds or 17 and 18-year-olds into military battle.
With that context, it kind of changes everything you said at the beginning. It doesn't. Yeah. That's interesting. How you
it's
did
the same
that
method, it's just to vilify this dude, you know what I mean? Just to vilify the other side.
Yeah.
And
Weird.
It's an arbitrary line. We can draw the line anywhere of like when a person, or when a fetus becomes whatever, comes into existence or whatever. And we can do the same thing with adulthood.
But that nuance takes too much effort, and it's much harder to raise a YouTube following that way, Brentley. Shame on you for trying to be reasonable. Yeah. You should just yell how the gays are coming for us. That
they're turning the freaking frogs gay.
That seemed to work for Alex Jones.
Yeah, up until recently, I guess. It's kind of hit a wall. It's weird.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus.
Supreme Court decision on this, she commented, quote, "We rage," in all caps. And amidst all of this gay theology among so-called Christians,
Shame.
we have so-called pastors like Zach Lambert of Restore Church in Austin, Texas. Here's a video in which he talks about what God's word says in his opinion
This is probably going to be
regarding
bad,
gender.
y'all.
And the
Yeah,
degree
it's gonna be
to
evil.
which gender should be influenced by God's biological design is also debated. But what we do know is that the call for all Christians, regardless of sex or gender, is Christ-likeness,
Wow.
defined by the fruit of the Spirit.
Wow.
It's Christ-likeness,
This is
defined
rough.
by the fruit of the Spirit.
Evil.
Dallas Theological Seminary professor and gender studies expert Dr. Sandra Glahn said it like this on our summer mixtape back in 2020. What God is interested in is fruit of the Spirit. For some, it's going to be the fruit of the Spirit in a female body. For others, it's going to be in a male body. And for others, it's going to be in an intersex body. But it's going to be the fruit of the Spirit no matter what your body is. This is very important.
Again, just going to remind everybody who watched that with us. This is bad according to the fellow that made this whole video. So remember that statement, this one right here, that's on screen.
Right here. Yeah.
That is an atrocious ideology that needs to be destroyed according to the fellow that made this video. Just want to point that out. And remember, he thinks he's on the right side there. He thinks he's on the godly side by disagreeing with those statements. He says, nuh-uh, not my Jesus.
My Jesus said you can't do the fruit if you're in a particular body.
That's right. That's right. That's his God. Again, I'm not saying that. Brentley's not saying that. We're leaving it up to him because believe me, he's about to explicitly tell you how he feels about it. So
I know, and it's real easy to forget what we just watched when he talks about it because, like,
seriously,
I get run into this so often in these videos. It's like they play a clip and then they like, see, they just said that, and then they say what they didn't say.
Yeah,
we just watched
nothing even close.
Yeah, like, is your audience fucking goldfish? Like, what is happening? How do they forget like from 1 second to the next?
Well, because again, they have they come into seeing that clip. They are already primed by all of his other content and the way that he titled. The title of the video is Why Gay Theology Must Be All Caps Destroyed. Like, these fuckers come into this thing just like foaming at the mouth, you know, seething for any opportunity to be like, yeah, gay people suck. Like, and so they hear that message and then go, clearly that's bad. Obviously that's wrong, you know? So yeah, it's
so weird.
He's about to just feed right into that, play right into that, and just be like, look how bad this person is. How dare they tell people that the fruit of the Spirit could be found in a female body or a male body or an intersex body? How dare they say that? How dare they try to tell people to be comfortable with who they are in their own skin? What a shame. What a shame. You know, in fact, you should be ashamed because your body's filthy and it's gross because that's how God made you, because you're inherently full of sin. You fucking terrible person, you know?
That's
like,
what it is, dude. The self-acceptance gets into their it gets in the way of their fucking manipulative bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like the whole system doesn't work if they can't get you to hate yourself.
Because exactly. Because if you don't hate yourself, then what are you repenting of? What are you coming to Christ for? What are you giving away all of, you know, your life for? Nothing. Because you realize you're not inherently broken.
Right.
You realize you're not sick and you don't need this medicine that they're presenting to you.
Exactly.
So again,
it's like the Bad Religion calls it a cause and a cure. And it's on God's love. It's like all it is a cause and a cure. They're telling you that you have, you know, that you have a problem, and then they're here to sell you the fucking cure for it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Just 10% of everything before taxes. Before taxes, goddamn.
Yeah, of course, man. What are you talking about? Taxes. God didn't give a shit about taxes.
No, he didn't.
Like,
no. You know, it's the gross amount.
The call to Christ likeness is never gendered in Scripture.
Now, I want to make sure you really heard that. Quote, the call to Christ likeness is never gendered in the scriptures.
So, I mean,
Ladies and
that's
gentlemen,
just, that's
is
wrong. I grant this fight for truth guy I'm going to point out when he's correct, when he does say things right, that what the pastor just said there is wrong. That is true. We do know that there are calls that are specifically gendered. Christianity, just like all the Abrahamic faiths, just like pretty much all the faiths everywhere in the world, they're very patriarchal. They are very male focused. They are sexist. Like,
But I wonder if like what he was specifically saying, the call to Christ's likeness, which, as far as I can tell, isn't in the Bible at all. So technically,
now that yes, that understanding, yes, totally fair. Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Bible ever calls anybody to do exactly that.
do the Christ likeness.
then it
John
technically-
7:42.
Yeah, so it technically is not gendered. I mean, that's fair. Yeah. But like he's going to bring up some points here where it's specifically talking to men and only men. And
Right.
that's because the Bible is sexist. Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
it's-
the
I don't
Bible.
think- I don't think this is the point you think it is, fighting for truth. I don't think
No.
it's, yeah.
It's like needling at like the least important part of the thing that he just said,
Right.
and then being like, so the whole thing's wrong. It's like a fallacy of composition. Like, oh, he was wrong about this little tiny part. So, because
Exactly.
the sentiment is true. Like, God was just like, hey, you should be a good person regardless of like the what your genetics and genitalia are. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I feel like that sentiment is in the Bible, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. What's in your
funny.
pants does not equal what's in your heart.
yeah,
Unless that's your kink, and then, do your thing. Just be
Yeah.
safe.
have fun.
So-
Just especially with the heart. Be
Yeah,
very
yeah,
careful
it's
with
very-
that. That thing's kind of
Yes.
important.
It's a gentle, be gentle.
Yes. There you go.
is simply not true. 1 Corinthians 16:13 says, quote, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men.
Act
Be
like
strong.
men.
Don't wear dresses or robes. Sandals.
That's right. And cut your hair.
That's right.
Don't,
Right. No long hair for you men. It's unmanly. Only pants.
only blue jeans and giant
That's-
belt buckles.
That's right.
Like in
That's
cowboy
right.
hat.
Get your hands dirty. Dig, but don't farm unless you're a farmer, because
Right.
it's weird. It's weird.
It gets it gets complicated. Really
it does.
quickly.
It gets tough.
It gets in
know.
the weeds. That's,
Yeah. Don't take care of yourself, because that's not manly.
that's
But
super gay.
make sure you're around long enough to constantly, provide for your family,
right.
or
And
or don't have a family, because
do you?
real men are like
Loner.
lone wolves, or wait, no, do have a family, but don't play with your daughter, because if you dress up with your daughter, that's gay. But
yeah.
not being there to support your child means you're not a real man.
It gets complicated.
it's
It just
tough.
keeps
It's very difficult.
No.
It's somebody understands it, I'm sure, because how else would we have all these real men out there?
Yeah.
Unless,
I mean, I think the main thing is, instead of crying, drink bourbon, and
Got
you
it.
should be good. Not just
Got
'cause
it.
it's overall.
that
Like
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
That's
I think I
fixed.
get it now. Yeah,
Be an alcoholic. That's
that's what they're saying. Be an unhealthy piece of shit. Got it.
That's
Got
right.
it. Got it.
Titus 2,
Toxic
4
ass.
through 5, quote, train the young
Yes.
women to love their husbands and children,
Right.
to be self-controlled, pure,
Young
working
women.
at home, kind, submissive to their
specify
own
that.
husbands, that
There
the
you
word
go. That's it. Remember, guys, champion of women right here. Champion of women. Okay. All you cis het men wearing dresses, you're fucking up what it's supposed to be for these young women, by the way. Just want to
That's
point
right.
that out. Young women.
This guy
Pointing
cares.
that out. Pointing
cares
that
so
out.
much about. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Young, submissive women. Submissive to who, by the way? The men who own them. I'm
The
sorry, not
male.
own, but just technically control them
Sort of,
entirely.
a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay, so it's not slavery, because the difference is that with slaves, they're not allowed to like leave the property without the man's permission or anything.
Right.
So it, okay, well, that's kind of similar.
That is actually dead on. Yeah, that's
well, okay, but the slaves can't. Okay, but the slaves can't like. The slaves have to like stay there at the property and constantly like work on it. You know, like provide it, like making food or taking care of young ones or something. And they don't have a say in the matter. And they can't like go anywhere else and like get a job or anything and like have opinions or express those opinions. You know what?
It's kind of similar, man. We keep on going over this.
Yeah.
It keeps on. Yeah,
it sounds pretty similar, actually.
Basically the exact same thing. I don't, you know.
Huh. Weird.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Champion of women, guys. Champion of women right here. Just making sure society doesn't crumble under our feet. This guy.
Yeah. Helping to make sure everybody stays subdued. You know, it's supposed to be, I guess.
The word of God may not be reviled. The Bible does indeed call all Christians to biblical behavior, broadly speaking, but this call is not separate from one's gender. Indeed, there are hundreds of passages in Scripture advocating for particular pious behaviors on the basis of one's gender. This is how God created the world. You can't simply do away with it. You see, the progressive Christians believe that grace destroys nature. It destroys the way that God has patterned the world. Now that we're Christians, we don't have to worry about physical gender or biology. Jesus did away with all that. They say we're not under law.
What?
We're under grace.
Is that what they're saying? Is that their argument?
I don't think so. I'm sure somebody says that, right? I'm sure there's somebody for every take out there. I'm sure there's somebody who says it, right?
Yeah.
But like, I actually like with the pastor that he brought up, for instance, or like the musicians that he brought up and so forth. I don't think that's what they're saying at all. If I could just kind of condense a little bit of what they're saying into what I think is a decent summary, I would say they're more on the angle of don't be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, don't go out of your way just to like be shitty to people for something that doesn't affect you and doesn't harm anybody. I think that, do you feel like what I'm saying is more accurate?
I feel like that's in the ballpark. Yeah, that's definitely. That just is the whole ballpark, actually.
Yeah, it just is. Yeah, it's just all of it. Yeah, it's just fucking lunatic.
And this guy's like, no, absolutely not. No, I'm going to go out of my way to hurt people.
No, of course. That's what Jesus commands us to do.
Yeah.
Right? We all remember that. The sermon on the blessed are the people who go out and fuck with others, right? That's what Jesus said. That was in the
just
Sermon
making
on the Mount.
He's just making a whip out of cords, just running around whipping people.
Again, another very Jesus-like teaching. Exactly what Jesus said to do. He said, what was that? What was that about casting stones? He said, those of you who hate others, cast the first stone. Was that it? No, it was something. I forget it. It's been so long. It's been
glass
so long.
houses sink ships.
That's it. That's it. Glass houses sink. I hope there's somebody out there that doesn't know either of those expressions and is just like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. I don't know why you're bringing up sinking ships or houses, but okay.
That's awesome.
This is, of course, a foolish attempt to affirm sin. That's what really all of this is. None of these people would ever say that the gospel has done away with the differences, for example, between a broken arm and a non-broken arm. Or a person
as we all know, broken arms are sinful. As we all know, breaking one's bone is a sin according to God. Right. Your body is a temple, after all.
That's right. You know, wasn't there something like that where it said like if you have like they won't let anybody in that has like certain ailments, right? Wasn't there?
Yeah. So again, like you just, I don't feel like these points. I don't think he's thought about any of the things he says, because like you do just have this ableist attitude in the Bible as well as you do with basically all religions, where they're like they really kind of shame and shun people who whose bodies don't match the typical, standard norm that everybody kind of thinks of whenever there's somebody who, has different abilities for whatever they are, right? Whether they are missing a limb or just don't have the use of it. Like, yeah, the religions tend to refer to those people as like demon possessed and evil, which is really gross, which it's weird why this guy is mentioning this. It's very strange that he's bringing it up.
Yeah, and it's just so it's one of those things where he's just trying to draw a comparison to gender when it never compares to gender, dude.
No,
Gender is a
never
different thing
yeah.
that functions differently. It's not fucking race.
Yeah.
It's not arms that are not broken and broken.
Yeah.
It's fucking gender, dude. It's
Yeah.
completely independent of those things.
No,
Jesus.
but let's just point out something else that, nobody has any disagreement on because, it just doesn't apply in any way, shape, or form. Again, he brought up sin. He was talking about sin. And the example that he brings up is a broken arm. Where the fuck is that talked about?
It doesn't apply at all.
It does not connect, dude. And he feels really good about this. He probably wrote a script for this video and edited it. Probably took him a while. And I don't know how anybody looked at that and went, yeah, I made my point well.
You're right. This just proves to me that like people like this, they just think as long as you talk snarky enough, then you're right. Then you're right. That means you're right. If you just talk like an asshole, like you're talking down to people. If you talk like Bill Maher, you're right. That's what this guy has gotten all.
It's what I've learned. It's what I've learned from YouTube and news over the last 10 years. So
that's it. Snarkier the truer. That's what I would say.
Right.
To one who does not have cancer. Rather, these are topics where the biological truth of God's objective creation reigns supreme. It is only on the topic of gender and sex where all of a sudden the created order becomes nuanced and complex.
Absolutely.
And
You're right. That's the only place where there is any nuance,
Right.
Everything else is just straight black and white all the time.
Yes, that's why all Christians are young earth creationists, believing that the world and the universe were created in 7 literal 24-hour days, even though we didn't have a sun or the rotation of the earth around it for like half of them. But just disregard that because what we're saying is true.
That's right.
Nobody takes that passage and like kind of fucks with it in any way, shape, or form to make it fit more of the world that we actually see around us instead of the fantasy world that we keep telling ourselves we live in. Nobody does that. Not a single person out there has any qualms about the actual, literal, historical worldwide flood, of which only 2 of each kind of animal, disregarding that definition of kind doesn't make any sense and hasn't ever really been fleshed out. Nobody takes that and says like, hey, maybe there's more going on here than the direct literal words.
Right.
It's
all like I said, like you said, like it's just perfect black and white. There is no interpretation.
Of course.
Everybody agrees.
Of course.
It's like
God's word is perfect. We don't have multiple sects of Christianity. It's not as if we have it's not as if we have like hundreds of years worth of history where major wars were fought because 2 sides disagreed about readings of the Bible. I mean, if we had that, and it were super easy to access that information and we knew that it was true, like that would just make him look like a fucking jackass. And that's obviously,
it's too bad. It's too bad it's not there.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
difficult to fully understand. And this brings us to another example of gay theology, which is female pastors.
Suck a
1
dick
Timothy
for Jesus.
2:12 says, quote, I do not permit a
Hang
woman
on. Gay theology brings us to women pastors. This is what happens. It's an infection. This is why I love this terminology, right? Like I love that analogy. The God virus by Dr. Darrell Ray. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I love that understanding, of this, necrotizing type disease that just spreads and infects everything and just turns it to fucking garbage and trash, because that's what happens. And you can see it when somebody says something like this. They're like, he's railing against gay people for a few minutes here, just talking about how evil and destructive they are for society. And then he's just like, oh, and by the way, women can't be in charge of shit. It connects. It makes sense. And it's like, well, the only real connection is this like bigotry and sexism. Like there's actually some really good work on this too, that talks about how a lot of transphobia and homophobia really stems at its core from just a misogynistic viewpoint of the world, because the problem is that there are these men out there who are trying to make themselves more like women, and women are just inherently inferior to men. That's the ideology. I don't believe that. I think that's fucking demonstrably wrong and stupid and harmful. But that's the idea. That's the ideology. And again, like here it is on full display. Like I didn't try this. I didn't plan shit. I don't have fucking notes. I have the live stream up on my other screen right now. Like that's all I'm doing is watching live comments. So like I'm just able to just easily pull this shit off the top of my head, because that's how blatant it is. That's how blatant this guy is, just letting you know. He's like, by the way, in case you were wondering, yes, I do also think women suck. Not just the LGBTQ. I also don't like women. And it's like, cool, man. Just tell me more how your God agrees with you. Because again, I don't want to say that. I'll let him say it. I'll let him pull Bible references and tell everybody how atrocious this view is.
Right. I feel like people like this are exactly what atheists need to just be able to point to. Like, look at that. Look at that. Right. Like, so
I'm not saying
you want
it.
to be an atheist now, or what do you think?
Yeah.
Like,
He's this proud Bible believing follower of Christ is here to tell us not only is being gay a bad thing, but so is being a woman. Just reminding everybody in case you forgot. Like, thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate you just saying it with your chest like that. Because now, hopefully, more people can watch it and go, oh, man, that is fucked up. That is bad. That is wrong. I don't want to be associated with that. I wonder if there's any other thoughts out there that might align more closely with what I believe.
Right.
Try secular humanism. Try looking into that for a little bit.
So much better.
Yeah. Bit of a better world.
We tend to agree about what it means more too. So,
yeah. Funny enough, it's weird how that happens. Yeah, it's weird how that happens.
A little bit more precise.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. It's funny too, because that was actually my when I was at Calvary, that was one of the big ones that we followed as well. You weren't allowed to have women pastors. In fact, women were not allowed to be on the stage to teach unless it was a woman's thing, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Good. That's the proper created order of the world. That's how it works, man. And we see that all throughout nature. Again, it would be a shame if there were easy examples to think of or pull from, online of like, say, I don't know, like gibbons or snakes or, birds or every animal species ever, where it was like matriarchal or just in generally favoring the female of the species. That would be terrible, because then that would just go against everything this dumbass is saying.
Right.
Which again, thank goodness that doesn't exist, and it's not super easy to point to.
No.
So, because it's just
exactly.
Do you think these people are just proud at how wrong they are? How just blatantly ignorant and wrong they are? Because like I would never do that. I could never go say something like this and then just sit back thinking, yeah, I did good there.
I am the superior.
I did good. Yeah.
Man, you see this?
Yeah.
We're just better. I was thinking that too. I'm glad somebody wrote it down. I'm glad. Jesus. That's so funny.
to teach or to exercise authority over a man. And Paul roots this argument in creation, not in
right.
subjective culture, saying, quote, for Adam was formed first, then
Right.
Eve.
Actually, there's a version of the creation story where they were both made at the same time.
No, wait a second. You're not saying there's two stories that kind of contradict each other, right? That couldn't be
Yeah.
the case, because then that would kind of make the whole like this comes from a divine source that like is right and infallible, and that would make that kind of Maybe
Kinda
I need
hurt.
to look at that
hurt
again.
me.
Maybe I should
Yeah.
look at that. Weird.
Yeah.
Also in the story where Eve was created second, if I remember correctly, the reason Eve was created second was because after God's suggestion that Adam go find a non-human animal to fuck,
That is, I'm so glad you said
Adam
that.
looked around and was like, yeah, I don't feel this, God.
I mean, the
I'm-
lion's
I-
all right, but you know,
yeah.
the
lions-
elephant was too much. That was
Yeah.
too much.
If I remember correctly, yeah, in the one story, created them at the same time, specifically mentions it, created them, man and woman,
Man and woman,
male
yep.
and female, created them. And then in the second one, God's like, hey, Adam, try fucking sheep for a bit. And then Adam's like, no, don't think bestiality is going to work out.
I
So
did.
God's like, cool, let me just knock you out for a bit and do some fucking surgery and magic. Like,
God, the original name of the Garden of Eden was the Heavy Petting Zoo. That was what it was called.
Oh. Whew. Talk about feeding the animals. Jeez. My God. My God.
And stuffed animals too. Just, you know, all the
Keep hands and genitals out of the cages at all times.
sleeves. Yeah. Jesus Christ, that is so funny. I'm so glad you brought that. 'Cause I was so close to being like, no, I'll just leave that out. But I'm glad. You
No,
put it.
no, you can't leave that out. No. Somebody can bitch and say it's low hanging fruit. That, oh, come on, Brentley SO, it's low hanging fruit. Yeah, it is. And it's in his fucking scripture. Again, it's
Yeah.
not me. I didn't say this. The divine did. The God of all creation did. The God of all creation just magicked the fucking existence and then was like, oh, by the way, Adam, how do you feel about fucking snakes and birds? Not okay with you? I know everything. I know how the world's gonna end and all that, but like, where do you want to put your dick again? I'm sorry, I'm confused on that. Because again, just as a reminder, just to point this out, really drive this point home, that was the reason Eve was created in that story.
Yeah.
Eve is not created for any other purpose but as a submissive, supportive partner and fuck toy for God's favorite creation, man. That's what that is. That's why God ended up and specifies that and says like, nope, you're going to be the sidekick. Like you woman are going to be the helper and you're always going to do what the man says because again, Adam looked around at non-human animals and was like, I don't think I want to put my dick in that, God.
Yeah.
So
I just read it the other day too.
yeah,
It was like, I had never seen that before. I'm like, wait a second, is he saying that he wants?
yes, that is exactly what he's saying. And that's not me. That is devout believers who are scholars. That is devout biblical scholars who believe the word of God and take this understanding and provide the necessary context that we are very, very confident on. Okay.
I
So,
can't remember. I'm reading through Josh Bowen.
oh yeah.
Bowen. He in his book the Old Testament, and I feel like it might have been in there. I could be mistaken though.
Yeah.
But that sounds like something that he would have pointed out.
Yeah.
All the books run together eventually. You know, it's hard to parse them out.
And it's again, just in case anybody out there forgot that the Bible is at its core just a misogynist fucking garbage ideology. Here this guy is reminding us, nope.
Yeah. That's why
It for sure does. It hates the LGBTQ and it hates women just at its core. So just saying, just letting y'all know, like join the winning team over here on our side.
Yeah. Just
So-
let the book go.
Yeah,
That's
on
why I
our
was
side, you can be a fuck toy, but only if you choose to be one.
consenting.
Okay?
Yeah. That's
Right.
right.
And
You know?
it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Anybody can, anybody
Yeah.
can be, you want to be a submissive partner that just gets railed whenever the other person says they want to, like, yeah, do it. Like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, man. Live your life. Live your best. Like, no worries, no problem. But you get to consent again. See, it's
That's
a big
right.
part of it.
That's a
It's
big
a
part.
massive part of
You
it.
consent before you put
It's
on
the
that
most
mask.
important part of it, actually. It's the.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Did you say you consent before you put on a dress? I love it.
Before you put on the rubber mask with
Yeah,
the zipper.
Right.
and-
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
In the very next chapter, Paul assumes that only men will be pastors, saying, quote, therefore an overseer must be above reproach, the husband of one wife.
Right.
More resources on this will be linked in the description. The Bible also clearly teaches that women are to submit to their husbands and that husbands are to lovingly rule over their households. This is something
There you
that
go.
Jesus
There you go.
Lovingly rule.
Yeah, I just want to say, when I think of the word love, like those word bubbles, those word clouds where it's like cupcake, icing, sprinkles,
Oh, right.
like when I think of the word love, the next word that comes to my mind is ruling. That's the
Yeah.
that's the very next thing. It's like love, complete and total authority. Submissive. It's fascinating. I'm so glad he and I are on the same page there.
That's too funny. Oh yeah. All right. What we're gonna do is we'll go a little bit longer and then we'll take a quick break and then I'm gonna come back and do the comments. Okay?
Yeah, that works.
We'll go a little bit further because I feel like the dude's almost done with what he's saying. And I want to make sure to be able to come back and get to the comments, but I am gonna have to take a break for just a second.
Yeah.
But
is that believers are merely commanded to submit to one another, as it says in Ephesians 5:21, and this is just one example of that one another submission. This view is brilliantly refuted by Denny Burke using the original Greek text in an article that I'll link in the description. But another clear
I'm sure they did use the original Greek text because all that fucking does is muddy the water so that you can make it say whatever the fuck you want it to say. That's why I used to love those texts.
Yeah.
Just look up the original word, and it's
Yeah, because then you just do the same fucking thing it's so weird. It's like, are you saying that for hundreds of years the translation and interpretation that these people did that were like sanctioned by various high level of authorities in the church, are you just saying they were wrong? Like, why does it translate it this way? Why do all of these different versions translate it this way? And it's just like, well, they're just not given the full context. So you're saying that they're fucking wrong, and you're saying hundreds of years worth of Christians were wrong.
got it wrong all that time.
That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
No, I was going to masturbate. Okay. I have to masturbate every day at like 3:20.
Yeah.
And so
It's kind of like the 5 prayers towards Mecca, except you can do it in any direction. You don't
right.
you don't have to face towards
the 5 squirts.
the 5 squares. That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's awesome.
issue with this mutual submission view is that wives are called to submit to their husbands as the church submits to Christ. That's specifically the example given. Does this mean that we are to submit to Jesus and then in turn, Jesus also submits to us? Of course not. Jesus rules and reigns over the world at the right hand of the Father, 1 Peter 3:22. Jesus is called our Lord, Romans 6:23, and we are certainly not his Lord in any respect. Put simply, Jesus is not required to follow the direction of the church. It's completely the opposite. And by the way, let me offer a quick disclaimer. Obviously, approving of female pastorship and disagreeing about a man's role in the home is not the same thing, morally speaking, as approving of gay marriage or the.
It is. Okay. Yeah. Why? Why the fuck not then, bro? What's your reasoning as to, because I could be wrong. Brentley. Doesn't the Bible say that all sins are the same in the eyes of God?
Yeah, they do say that.
But hang on. But he brought up as an example of sinful behavior, women not submitting to their husbands, women being in authority and men wearing dresses or being gay. So it sounds like he's saying all of these are sins, which would then be considered the same in the eyes of God. So what he just said is factually wrong. Is that, am I putting that together?
I would have said that too. Yeah, actually,
Huh.
because he's making a very a concerted effort to be like, oh yeah, by the way, being gay is the most evil sin ever. Just by just letting you know that one that's like murdering everybody.
Yeah.
And playing with
Yeah.
their corpses.
Yeah.
So that's the same.
Yeah.
It's like the other's not as bad. Like probably you don't have to stone your wife to death if she talks
Right.
about. You probably that's probably
Actually, it might be in there. It might explicitly be in there.
I don't
Yeah.
want to say that that's not in there.
Yeah. There's some implications at least. Maybe maybe it doesn't command you like the Quran does, but like it's kind of in there still.
Probably close. I don't.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I'm gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I just gotta take a quick break right here, and then we'll go through the comments once we get back. So I'm gonna put up. These are all of the ways you can support the show. So I'll be right back. All right, there we go. I've trained myself to be able to masturbate really fast.
Yeah.
No, it's actually good.
Yeah. Two pump and dump kind of.
That's it. Yeah. 2 pump dump. That's what I call it.
That's good.
Oh, Jesus. Well, thank you so much, man, for hanging out. I really appreciate this.
It's been great. Honestly, I always have a great time. We talk about nonsense and we get to really highlight all the bad arguments that people are making. And you are so gracious. You let me come on and just ramble and just go wherever my wacky mind, wants to take it. And, you let me talk about all kinds of things, man, in this one stream. Like I wasn't planning to talk about all of these different things, but he brought them up, so it was like kind of fair game, man.
Yeah,
not my fault. Like
he shouldn't be saying that type of stuff.
That's right. That's right. You gotta watch your words, buddy.
Right. Well, I'm going to go back a little ways and see if we can look at some of the longer comments that we got. We're not going to be able to get to all of them. I'm sorry, but we'll try. We'll get to a few here. I'll try to do at least one from each person. We'll do like that. So let me see. Let's start back here. Oh wait, no, that's not. Wait, possibly asshole, but he loves himself too much to be gay. I don't know what the context there is. I should probably read these before I
just start highlighting them.
Yeah. It's funny. Oh, let's see. Okay, here's a nice long one. So this is from Commander. Where is it? Come on. Oh. So Commander says, who is one of the most feminine man in the Bible? The JC. And he had emotions that these right-wing assholes would have accused him of being woke for having. That is so true.
Yeah.
You see a lot of these I mean, you hear a lot of, I can't remember what it was. It was like one of these articles that was just done pretty recent. And it said like, why is it that, what was it, that the right, or that all these liberal talking points from the Bible, how are you pulling out all these liberal talking points, you know? And it was like, it wasn't exactly liberal talking point. It was just the Bible.
Right.
It was just Jesus saying stuff.
Right.
And of course, you know, now they look like that's wimpy stuff.
Yeah.
That's wimpy and woke.
It really is. It that has been something that's been we've seen a rise with, which is just, it's baffling to me. It's just mind blowing. You've got so many people for so long that have been like, no, like Jesus is about love, like compassion. That's what our religion is about. And then here are these motherfuckers just kicking in the door and being like, nope, not true. Not true.
No.
Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck those people. Hate them all. Like, it's like, okay, man. Like, I'm not saying it. That's, you want to stand, you want to plant your flag on that ground, man. Like, no, my Jesus is much more bigoted than yours is. Like, all right. Kind of, don't feel like that's a victory, but okay. Like,
yeah. I mean, you think he's like, no, he was a carpenter just running around the street, swinging around a 2x4, just knocking people out, man. That's the Jesus I love.
Right.
You know,
like,
if anybody got mad about it, he crucified them. That's what he did. He crucified their ass.
Right.
You know,
beat the shit out of him right there, man, on the road to Damascus. You know,
damn right.
Like,
knocked him right off his horse.
Imagine two people having a conversation about like sports teams, right? And one guy being like, no, you don't understand. My team cheats a lot, like regularly cheats, like is actually known for cheating and has been caught at cheating. My team is a bunch of liars who don't play fairly, and that's why I love them. That's kind of what this guy is saying. He's like, no, my Jesus is hateful. That's why I like him.
That's why he's the best. Yeah.
Okay.
Fucking crazy. What the fuck?
Okay.
Jesus.
Weird choice, bro. Don't think it's the flex you think it is. So
right. No. Ember said nature goes against God's design rather a lot. Proof it's a fallen world, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Because no matter what the outcome is, it actually proves my original position. See, if the sun does rotate around the earth, then that's God. Of course, now that, you know, we're really confident that the earth rotates around the sun, that is, of course, God. So,
sure. It's gotta be.
Wait a sec. Wait. So okay. So we have to follow the biblical order, and everything does follow the biblical order because God. But we're fallen and fallible and broken, so it doesn't.
Right.
Because God,
it's perfect until it's not.
Because God, right?
Because God,
okay,
yeah.
Now it makes sense. Got it.
Because God and fallen world or whatever.
Yeah. Figured all that. Put those puzzle pieces together. Yeah, makes a perfectly clear picture.
Right.
YouTube. God damn.
Hashtag you too. You too.
Jeez.
We were talking about something gross. I don't know where exactly it was. That could have been in several places in this conversation.
You that spelling of you is a female sheep.
Oh, okay. So it was the part.
I think that's what Mice was saying. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. That was the heavy petting zoo part.
That's the heavy petting zoo. That's
Got
right.
it.
That's
okay.
right. The all-knowing God, not super sure about what his very first human creation wants to sleep with. He's a little confused about why Adam didn't choose the dinosaur, I guess. Stegosaurus seems kind of cuddly, right?
Yeah, it could be. You know, I don't
nuzzle up next to that. You know?
And you know what y'all shouldn't do? There's a NoFX album called Heavy Petting Zoo. You should not go look at the cover of that album because it will disturb you. And then the vinyl is called Eating Lamb. Definitely don't want to
Wow.
watch the cover of that one. It's pretty,
Okay.
it's graphic.
You know, everybody's gonna go look it up now. Like
I
I'm
hope
gonna
so.
go look it up.
It's
after.
really funny. It's a great album too. Let's see. Carrie said, Florida man tells son not to sleep with his mom because Florida man owns her, not because it's incessant.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and
Oh,
you know what? That Carrie is biblical. That's what that is. You know, that's just following the good biblical law that our Lord and Savior JC left for us. You know,
That's right.
that's right, folks. That's the biblical worldview.
That's right. It's funny too. Like, cause I think what she's, nodding to is there was something online where everybody was talking about like Florida man headlines
Oh
from
yeah,
the Bible. Have you seen that? It's
Yeah.
like they sound just like Florida man.
yes,
It's
yes,
awesome.
they do.
It really
Yes,
does.
they do. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Uh,
Florida man attempts to kill child, but stops when a ram shows up or whatever, talking to the voices in his head, whatever. the fuck,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see what else
Fucking
we got.
terrible. It's just it just always amazes me how people like I don't know, because I hear so many, atheist non-believers, ex Christians and stuff now, like they talk about how when they were young, the story of Noah, was that was one of the big shifts for them in stepping away from the religion, is that like once they got out, they were like, oh man, the story of Noah is actually like really horrible, and it was always taught to us in such a nice way, and yada yada. And it's like, yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Do you remember that guy Samson, by the way? Because like I feel like not enough people talk about that one. That was pretty fucked up. Guy
That story
just
was insane.
literally just killed a shit ton of people for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, super weird how they just kind of gloss over that story.
There was this Christian comedian that I went and saw a long time ago. His name was Tim Hawkins. And he did this whole bit where he's like, yeah, it's so cute. And like you draw the, on the kids' room, they do the Noah's Ark, they draw it, it's all pretty. He's like, the story about when God like murders everybody on the face of the earth.
Right.
He's like, come on, kids, like draw some more screaming kids on those rocks. Draw some. He's like, all right, we're going to go into your brother's room. We're going to do the stoning of Stephen. It was a good joke. I was like, and it's funny because I've heard that basically that same joke at like an atheist convention or, and I was like, wow, I like it that we can actually, there's some crossover there. There's
Yeah.
crossover.
Yeah. Yeah. Because as is the case with so many people, right? The vast majority of believers, whatever stripe they are better than their religion. They are better than what their scripture teaches them. Like, because they do not accept that horrible nonsense that is actually in their holy books, and
Yeah.
it's like, good God, people, can we just realize that? Can we just realize that all of this goodness that you say exclusively comes from your God is just not true? It comes from us as people. And we've just had so many years of co-opting this bullshit and claiming that it's my magical guy, like, please, can we move past this already?
It doesn't, it only complicates things more, when you got people like, saying that my God told me, I have the actual morality. And
Yeah.
God told me. That doesn't do anything to help it.
My God,
we're all still in the same situation.
my God told me to force women to submit to men. And then you got these other people that are like, well, my God said, don't do that. And then like, it's just, what do we do there?
Okay. We got two people claiming God said two different things. So
on the same fucking page, guys.
Guess
I'm just going to take the route of, hey, forcing people into servitude is just wrong across the board, just bad. People don't like that. It's not good for flourishing. No divine word necessary. No divine word necessary.
It's we can just like we're all gonna have to act like it's just us anyway. So I might as well. We
God
might as
ain't
well
coming down
lean
to
into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't telling us one way or the other. So all
No.
we've got are these, inconsistent books from the past that do seem to lean a little bit more on the hateful, bigoted side. So
Just a little bit, It's somebody said, "Have you considered sheep, Brentley?" Yeah. No.
have you
With the
considered sheep?
masturbation thing?
Yeah.
Seems like an expensive masturbation
Oh.
there. That's
Oh, that's what they were referencing. I thought they were talking about like counting sheep to go to bed. That's what when considering sheep. Like, have you considered? No, yeah.
that tends to. Yeah, you're right. That is.
Have you ever noticed? I know this is a little off topic, but not really. We've talked about bestiality a little bit.
Okay. That's
Have you ever noticed, like, there are people out there that advocate for this, by the way. There are people out there who are like, no, not a problem. It's actually okay. But if you ever go look into these folks or groups that are advocating for this, they seem to be advocating for a specific type of animal, like specifically the types of animals that are found on farms. Like, they basically seemingly are only ever advocating for like fucking farm animals. Nobody's out there advocating for fucking like wild badgers, Like, nobody's ever been like, yeah, man, I just want to capture a bunch of cardinals or blue jays and just fuck the hell out of them. No, it's always like, well, they're my sheep. I should be allowed to. And it's like, huh. Isn't that just strange?
Oh,
I
God, that is.
don't know
That
if
sounds
it's a
like
coincidence or not. It's just weird how that happens.
That's got to be straight out of like West Virginia or some
Oh
shit.
boy,
Right? Like,
yeah, it's
Alabama,
it's
probably.
definitely my neck of the woods for sure. It's around my it's weird.
That is brutal. Here, let's get it. There's a comment here. It says, I like how this guy didn't mention the ancient and still ongoing controversy over contradictions between Jesus and Paul. I know.
Yeah, as we all know, there's no contradictions in the Bible. As we all know. I mean, that's your problem. You're coming at this thinking that every word is fallible, when in fact it is divine revelation. So it can't be wrong or contradictory, despite the many, many clear examples of that. And the ones that, while technically are not actual direct contradictions, do bring up some really weird problems, like, for instance, in case anybody is wondering, the story of Noah ends with his family basically having incest a bunch and then repopulating the whole world and being the people who gave us all the different cultures and languages all over the world. Although the very next chapter of the Bible is the story of the Tower of Babel, where all humanity was confined to a single area of the world with one language and one culture and one history.
Oh, they had to solve that.
So not
solve that problem.
Yeah, not technically a direct contradiction exactly, but does bring up some weird points that need to be figured out.
Straight up, dude. Well, and here, just a little fun fact. I really like Bart Ehrman. I like reading another one of his books called Jesus Interrupted, and it's about all the contradictions. But like, apart from that, I also like his podcast. But like, one of the things he was saying was on this directly, Jesus and Paul. That Paul only quotes Jesus 3 times in the whole Bible, and it's all in Corinthians. And one of them is don't get divorced.
Okay.
Another one is give money to your pastors.
Okay.
And then the third one is kind of his own version of the Last Supper. That's it. That's the only time. And there's other times where they contradict each other, like what Miskatonic is talking about here. They directly like there's things that Paul says that go against specifically what Jesus said. It's interesting.
It's almost
he didn't know what he said.
Yeah, it's almost like he didn't know what Jesus said and was just kind of making shit up Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Almost like this religion is not inspired by a divine, all-knowing creator. Huh.
Yeah. It's just sort of made up.
Weird.
It's like Paul was the Joseph Smith of
Yes.
back
Yes.
in the day,
And we just didn't have good enough fucking recordings at the time to like know that he was a con artist and a jackass.
Exactly.
Right? Like
Right.
the first recordings of Joseph Smith we have are like, hey man, so you've been scamming people with this fucking dowsing rod for years now. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. Took a bunch of money. I'm a dickhead. And then like here he is founding a religion a few years later. Like Paul was probably closer to that than he was further away.
I mean, it's perfect too. Just like falling off your horse and be like, oh my God.
I saw something great.
What's that, Lord? Just like talking to nope. They're all like, what the fuck is happening?
And it's
right
super weird because like I think we have like two stories, right, of the Damascus experience. I think like one is in Luke and then one is like a letter from Paul. And in one of them, it's just like absolutely nobody but Paul heard or saw anything. Everybody was just kind of sitting there watching him freak out on the ground for a minute. And then we're like, hey, what's up, bro? He's like, I just saw Jesus. You know,
he talked
like,
to me in my mind.
Yeah. Weird.
That is too funny. Let's see. We'll go through one or two more and then we'll head out. Let's see. Ember said the Bible also preaches death for some things and not being allowed in the tent until you take a bath for others. All sin is the same.
True. Very true.
Well,
exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I just did a Ray Comfort video and he was saying that the Bible doesn't say that it says that there are parts where they talk about gradation to sin, but the parts that he referenced didn't say that like at all. Like it was sort of just like it's hard to explain, but like it was just it wasn't about sin and having gradation at all. It's just like all sin keeps you out of heaven. That's always been the doctrine as I understood it.
I wonder, just real quick, I just wonder if there's anything I could find. Let's see, James 2:10, for whomever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has become guilty of all of it. Okay. Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Weird. Matthew 7:1-5, judge not that you be not judged, for with the judgment you pronounce you will be judged, and with the measure you see you measure. Why do you see the speck in your own brother? Right, you hypocrite, first take the log. Okay. Let's see, 1 John 3:15, everyone who hates his brother is a murderer. Interesting. All wrongdoing is, this is 1 John 5:17, all wrongdoing is sin, but there is sin that does not lead to death. Okay, but all wrongdoing is sin. Oh, and then Romans 6:23, of course, for the wages of sin is death.
Right.
But all wrongdoing is sin, but sin, not all sin leads to death.
Yeah.
It makes sense, you guys. It does, I swear. It makes sense.
Eventually it might.
Don't. Yeah. Did you tithe yet? Did you give your 10%?
That is those were the main.
And don't be gay,
rules.
By the way. Did we get that? Did we get that in? Okay, cool. Cool. Good. We're good.
And it's funny too because like a lot of the people that even the gay parts, they're like there's a lot of scholars and stuff that say that those weren't talking about that. It was talking clearly about the PDF file type stuff.
No, see that would be nuanced, and we don't do that here.
Yeah,
we don't do that here. Literal words on the page. Yeah, that's it.
So Tons of Mice said, if the Lord didn't want us to bang the sheeps, he wouldn't have made their butts so juicy.
Yeah. Or them so fluffy. I feel like one of the appeals, is like you're basically just having sex with a large plush toy, like it'd be so cushiony. You could lean on that thing and just really go to town. I mean, talk about more cushion for the pushing. I mean, I'm so sorry.
Keeps it
This
nice
is
and
terrible.
warm.
This is so horrible.
And
I've
we're
s-
demonetized.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh, just now. Yeah, just now. Yeah. At
was what
this
did it.
point. Yeah, that's right. You're right. We
Uh.
just finally crossed that line. Yeah.
You're right. Where Fruit said, funny, the Bible says they bought 7 pair of sheep.
That is
Hey.
true. That's
mean,
so true. Again, 2 by 2 of every animal, except in the other story where you're supposed to bring like 7 each of the clean ones and 2 each of the unclean because they got to eat something on the boat.
That's it. Yep.
But then you ask yourself, like, how does 7 animals of the clean variety, which isn't that many actually at the end of the day, how does that last for the whole time, which maybe 30 days, maybe up to like over a year? It's kind of
Yeah.
confusing. It's
I
a
don't
little
understand.
difficult if you think about it. It doesn't make sense.
No, because all the water took a while to go away because it just rained for the okay.
Right.
It's
Right.
like-
It's very confusing. Yeah. It's almost like it's not real. Almost.
yeah, it's like it's a made up story that was
Yeah.
previously included in
Right.
other stories.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
As our read comments, Mice has been advocating for sheep for an hour now. Keep up.
You're right. Tons of Mice is always got some great commentary. There's always some good stuff to be seeing there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. Well, if you, I mean, I guess if even with the sheep stuff, my sponsor's not going to like this. If you do want to have sex with sheep, just go to adamandeve.com and enter that code word Brentley at checkout. That's BRENTLY at checkout and get your exclusive offer, which is 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Just go to Adam and Eve. Enter that code word Brentley at checkout. That's BRENTLY at checkout. Get your exclusive offer. Get your butt some stuff or your sheep's butt. I don't know. Maybe they like that. I don't know.
I will definitely just real quick, and maybe this helps out a little bit with how your sponsor feels. Not only am I a very happy and proud customer of this wonderful store and website, but also I was a customer and user before I looked into more about Adam and Eve and found out that they actually do some really good things. They are a supporter of a lot of causes that I also agree with. And if you don't know some of the work that they do, not only does it help people in the bedroom, but it helps people other places as well. So, yeah.
Wow,
they do a lot. Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff. I didn't know a lot. I didn't know a lot of that, but yeah, they are an ally in a lot of different good causes. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And they make great sex toys, and they have great sex toys.
And that too. Yeah, they came highly recommended from the guys at Cognitive Dissonance. And so I was like, yep, because I'm too scared to like be promoting something and then have it end up being awful,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
they are good. They are definitely a cool company. And yeah, again, like think about that. Like not only can you purchase something to make your sexy times better, but you can also do so with the knowledge that you are supporting some good causes. Like that's great. Like
that's awesome.
I love that. I love to come and help the world at the same time.
That's right.
I can't always do both, but when I am able to accomplish both simultaneously, I'm gonna take that fucking opportunity.
Gonna do
literally.
it. Yeah. I mean, and that is, you're right. That is one of the few times that you can come and help people.
That's right.
That's beautiful. Well, hey, if there's other ways that you can support the show, if you want to become a patron, we have patreon.com/PunkApostate. And we do have a new patron today. I want to make sure I say, hey, Kasumi, thank you so much. So nice. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And Vonrick also donated through the Cash App, which if you want to donate through the Cash App, It's our cash tag is PunkApostate, and holy shit, thank you so much, Vondrick. That was huge. That was a lot. It's quite a bit. It was kind of helped me out this week for sure. So I really appreciate that. But hey, the main thing though, where can people find you?
I mean, I go hang out over on Atheist Republic. We actually did a stream earlier today. And you can find me on Atheist Experience, other ACA shows as well. You can find me a bunch of places if you want to. I just pop up, and hang out and try to have a good time. So yeah, those are two of the biggest channels for sure. But otherwise, I mean, if you want to follow me on Twitter or whatever, I guess you can. You go to any of the things, type secular rarity, you'll see my dumb face at some point. So.
It's the only one. Yes,
that's right. That's right. That's right.
He's a rarity. That's what it is.
What it is. That's what it is. Honestly, I chose that name knowing that from the beginning. It wasn't just like I picked words that sounded good to me and slapped them together. So
it's brilliant. I love it.
Thank you.
But the main thing is that y'all stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we'll see you next time.